Hello friends, I hope you're having a great day. I am on a rusty, crusty kick since I found the Dixie Belle Patina products. And today, we are going to turn this little Dollar Tree glass canister with this little aluminum lid into this adorable, rusty, crusty prayer jar. Want to see how I did it? Along with other beautiful DIYs in the wood rusty, crusty world? Then stay tuned and let's get crafting. We are going to start out with this little jar container with an aluminum lid from the Dollar Tree. And we are going to paint the lid with some layered chocolate by DIY. And I get all my DIY paints, my IOD products, Saltwash, all the goodies from Sammy over at www.unicorndustdesigns.com. So if you're interested in any of those products or any of the products that you see me use in this video, go ahead and go on over to that website. It's always linked in every video in my description box below. So I'm just pouncing it on with this old brush, and I'm not looking for complete coverage. You can see I'm not painting the inside. I just need to get a little base coat on there. Now while that dries, we're going to set that aside, and I'm going to grab this mold by IOD. It's the Conservatory Labels mold, and this is the mold that I'm going to make to go on our little glass jar. And I'm going to use the DIYS air dry clay. And so in order to it not to stick into this mold, we're going to take a little cornstarch and a soft brush and just brush it in there. We don't want a lot in there because we don't want it to leave any residue on our clay. I'm going to warm the clay up in my hands a little bit, and then I'm going to press it firmly down into this mold because we want the mold to be full and we want all those details to be pressed into this clay. Now I'm using this little spatula. I'm not even sure where I got this from, but you could use an old gift card, an old credit card, anything with a straight, firm edge on it. And I'm just pressing it down and pulling it across that little micro edge. Now, you can find a lot of molds out there, but none of them are quite as spectacular as the IOD molds. Those sisters really know how to create them. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to apply some Tite Bond Quick and Thick to the back. I'm going to use a little paintbrush to spread it all the way out to the edges. And once I get that all spread out, then I'm going to place it gently on my little glass jar and press the edges down firmly. And I don't want to distort it in any way, so I'm pressing gently. And then I'm going to let it dry for just a little bit. I should have let it dry a little bit longer than I did because I did kind of move it around. But anyway, in the meantime, I'm going to take this little pouncer sponge and I'm just going to dab this patina paint by Dixie Belle all over this little lid. I get my Dixie Belle rusty paint patina products from a little store near me. I can't even think of the name of it right now. But I just was turned on to this product by Bailey over at Reclaimed Grace. If you haven't watched her channel, I highly recommend it. She does some amazing, beautiful thrift flips and creations with old rusty, crusty stuff. She is amazing. I decided while I was given this a coat of the patina that I needed to put the stamps on my little label because that's what I wanted to do. That was my intent, and I forgot to do it. So I'm going to put the letters prayers. I'm going to make a little prayer jar. Now I'm spacing those letters on this little thin mount so that I can get them even. I left out the R on purpose for spacing, and I'll go back in and put that R in later. Now I like to put prayers on my prayer needs on little strips of paper and put them in a little jar or container so that I can go back later and read them and see all the ways that God has answered my prayers. And sometimes God's answer is wait, sometimes it's no, but regardless, I like to see how He's working in all of the prayers that I'm asking Him, all the needs that I'm asking Him for. So this is just a little prayer jar that I thought would be cute, and I'm going to do the Rusty Crusty effect on it. So I'm doing the second coat of this patina paint, and this is the copper color. This one's new to me, and so I'm giving it the second coat, and you want to apply the spray. You will see the spray here shortly, right about now. This spray, this is the yellow. This was a new one to me too. While that patina paint second coat is still wet. And this came out more like squirts rather than spray. So I squirted a little bit on my little tin pan and just dabbed it on with the sponge dauber, and it worked. It worked great. However, it was a little too much mustard for me. I went ahead and sprayed some of the green spray on there because I like that look, and I dried it down with my heat gun a little bit. I didn't want to dry too much on that mold because I didn't want it to crack. But I put TPP instead of TOO, but that's okay. Y'all know what I mean. Too much mustard for me. So I took that patina paint and just dabbed it around a little bit in between all of that mustard, and it turned out great. You're going to see here just how great it actually turned out. I picked up this little wooden box at the thrift store. It's actually a crafting thrift store in my town, and it had been a glasses box. Someone had purchased glasses. I don't know if they were sunglasses or what kind of glasses they were, but they had still the little neck chain, or it's a leather strip, and the glasses cleaner cloth, and I will put that back in this little container when I'm done. And you can see I paid $1.49 for this beautiful box that has those finger groove joints on the corners. So it's very well put together. I'm going to take my little finger sander, and I'm just going to sand it down and get it a little bit smoother so that it takes the paint a little bit better. Nothing serious, just a simple little sand. And then I was trying to find a mold or something that would cover up that brand name, and then I got a better idea. I'm just going to flip it over and put the brand name on the inside of the box, and nobody will ever see it. Now on the outside, it was going to be easy because the name wasn't quite as big. So that conservatory label molds, I just had some in my stash that I had poured previously. So when I'm pouring molds, sometimes I just have extra resin in my cup because I don't judge my measurements very good sometimes. And so I just pour it into other little molds so then I have them later. So that's what happened here. So I'm just going to glue them down, and I use those little mini clamps to clamp it down so that it would be nice and secure. Now I'm going to take Vintage Linen by DIY, and I'm just going to pounce it all over. I really like the texture that this gives instead of, brush strokes, and it gives it a little bit of that texture like is when you paint on the wall with a sponge roller. And now I decided that it needed a little handle because it was a little hard to slide the lid in and out. So these little half beads were going to work great. Now I'm not going to lie, it took me 3 times of drilling the hole in that half bead to get it right. So I drilled that hole in there, I drilled a hole in the lid, and I have this skewer from Dollar Tree. I get these, they also have them at Walmart, and they're always with the barbecue grilling supplies. I'm going to put some Titebond in there, and I'm actually going to clamp this down until that glue dries. Now this Titebond, quick and thick, quick being the key word here, dries really quick. So while I'm letting that dry, I'm going to go ahead and take this IOD transfer with these beautiful flowers, and I'm just placing it there to see how I want it to lay. and I'm just going to lay it down. Now you're going to see me use transfers a little later on in this video, so I'm going to show you this in its entirety because I'm not going to show you that every single time. Now I like to rub it down all over with the little tool that they provide, and then I like to create what they call ride the wave. So you create that little bubble, see that little bubble in there, and then you just roll that wave like a surfer wave. And then if something doesn't come up and it's still on your carrier sheet, then you just rub it like I'm doing there. And then you take the side that was attached to and you just burnish it. And that gets all the little sticky pieces from the transfer off and helps go ahead and secure all the pieces down and makes it one with your project. Now I'm going to use some more Tite Bond to adhere this little knob that we've created and put it into our little hole and press it down. And it was a little long on the back side, but I went ahead and took a coarse grit sandpaper and just sanded it off. It sanded very easily, and I sanded it smooth. And then I'm going to take my little mini clamp again, and I'm going to clamp it down really tight and set it aside to dry. I'm going to use these Apothecary Label stamps by IOD and my tomato ink. Now, I haven't used this ink before, and so I decided that it matched that transfer really pretty. And so I'm going to attempt to put this on in the center and get it centered into this label. I didn't really want to do another stamp with words because I already had two projects in this video with words. And so once this is completely dry, I want that stamp to be completely dry. I go in with the Dixie Belle wax that's grunge gray and this kind of chippy brush, and I start applying it to mostly the mold and to bring out the details in that beautiful mold. And then I did end up going all around the edges and to give it kind of a distressed look and a dirty, grungy look, just so that it looks old. You know, like it looks old, like someone has really been storing something in this little box, and I think it turns out just adorable. So let me know what you think. I hope that you're enjoying this video. If you are new to my channel, my name is Kendra and you are watching Late Night Creations, and that we are so glad that you decided to click on this video and join us today. Now let's get back to crafting. Oh, if this little wooden recipe box could talk, all the tales it could tell. It looks like a little homemade wooden recipe box that someone probably made in the 70s in their shop class. That's what I'm guessing. That's what it looks like. I took that little resin piece out. I just heated it with the heat gun, and then I used it had a little bit of glue, and I heated it up and it popped right off. Now I'm going to take my finger sander, and with a pretty fine grit sandpaper, I'm just going to sand the whole thing very gently. I didn't do, any major sanding. I just gave it a light sanding and then wiped it down. And I was going to spray paint it white to give it a good base coat to kind of seal it, but my spray paint was all messed up. So I used this bottle of gesso that my cousin gave me when she cleaned out her art supplies, and I absolutely love this stuff. It goes on so smooth, and when I went to paint, it made all the difference in the world. Now, some of the tannins did come through a little bit, but when I painted it with the color, you couldn't see it at all. Now, I have this little recessed area, and I'm going to put this mold over it. That mold was part of the Bibelots mold that were some ornaments from Christmas, that collection. And I'm gonna fill this recessed area with some resin. So I'm mixing part A and part B equal parts, and I like to use this little scale because it is just a lot easier for me, takes out the guesswork. And I'm going to stir it in this little plastic cup with a popsicle stick, and I like to just hold it in my hand and mix it until the resin begins to get warm. The minute it starts to get warm, I know it's time to pour. And so you're going to see me here. I'm going to pour it into this little recessed area and trying to get it level on my table. My table's not always real level because, you know, it's on pier and beam. And now it's all set up and it's hard and dry. And now this little medallion piece is going to fit on there perfectly. It's kind of a frame, kind of a medallion. I don't know what you would really call it, except call it beautiful. I'm going to put a whole lot of hot glue in the middle so that it will stick to that resin and hold it down. Now I'm going to take Apothecary, which is a beautiful green. It's kind of between minty and sage, and I'm going to paint this entire thing, and it only took one coat. That paint went on so smooth over that gesso. It makes me want to paint everything with gesso before I paint it, especially wooden things from the thrift store. Now, I'm going to grab that Apothecary label stamp set again, and I'm going to use the very small capital letters. They're all capital letters, but I ended up not using that set. I ended up using another set. I'm going to tape that little carrier sheet that you put over top, the protective sheet, down onto my thin mount so that I have that grid so that I can get all my letters nice and straight. And I'm going to spell out the word, you got it, recipes. And it has 2 E's. So I took one E out so that I left the space for it. And I'm going to use my black IOD ink pad, and I'm going to ink it up, and I'm going to make sure there's no extra ink around the edges. And now this is a domed surface, so this was a little bit tricky, but I did it. And it's homemade, so it's going to be perfectly imperfect, right? So I'm going to just put that E right in the middle of those other letters where the hole is, and ta-da, it's done. Now, I have this silver rub and buff. I believe this is the pewter one. I'm pretty sure this is the pewter one. I have 3 different colors of silver. Well, I have an ebony, a silver, and a pewter, and I believe this is the pewter. And I'm going to use a paintbrush, and I'm going to paint that knob and the frame around the word recipes with the silver rub and buff. And it turns out really, really pretty. Then I'm going to use that grunge gray again, and I'm going to just wipe it on with the paintbrush, this chippy brush, and then I'm going to use my little white scrap of a t-shirt, really soft cloth, to wipe it off. And then I used that same little cloth and dipped it in my DIY white wax and just kind of blobbed it here and there. And then I went back after it had set up a little bit and just dabbed it to make sure there wasn't any wet clumps anywhere. This little sewing machine pop-out drawer was in a junk pile, ready to be sent to the trash. But oh no, I rescued it. I grabbed it just as fast as I could and brought it home. And the little veneer piece that I'm sanding right there was raising up a little bit. So I just stuck some Titebond Quick and Thick underneath it, clamped it down, let it dry. And then I've got my sander out and I'm sanding off just some dirt and grime. I mean, it was really pretty dirty. And so I'm just taking fine grit sandpaper. And then now I'm taking Dixie Belle's White Lightning. It's a really good cleaner, and it just happened to be what I had on hand. And then I took a baby wipe and cleaned the chemical off. And then I took the car cleaning cloth from Dollar Tree and dried it really well. Now I have these beautiful floral transfers from IOD. Can't remember which booklet they're from, but they are so pretty. Now I'm going to show you here how you don't have to use all the florals, all the transfers exactly the way they come. You can cut them down. So I'm going to cut them down and use just the little pieces that I want. I'm going to rub it down and then pull the transfer sheet off and burnish it. There you see, I'm trying to get that wave started. There goes the wave. I'm going to ride the wave all the way to the top and consider that a success. Burnish it, and then we're moving on to the next beautiful little floral transfer. This is not the sewing drawer like would be on the sides that you pull out, that pull all the way in and out. This would have been across the front of it in the middle, and it would just pull, I don't even know how to explain it. If you know, you know, right? You pull it and it just kind of comes out at an angle. But I was so happy that I was able to rescue this beautiful little drawer. Now this piece, I'm going to cut that little rosebud off. I'm going to cut some leaves off, and then you're going to see me do the same thing I've been doing. Use my fingernail on that edge to mark where I want it to be cut off so that I get it right where I want it. So I'm going to use my fingernail or my thumb because I don't really have fingernails anymore. And there we go, cut it off. So that makes it easier for me to know where to place it down when I'm ready to apply it. Now I'm applying some clear wax, and I'm going to pause it, and I'm going to show you how different it looks on the right side and the left side, and just how beautiful that wax brings out that wood and those beautiful transfers, even the difference it makes in the transfer. This piece turns out so beautiful. You'll have to let me know how you would stage this, how you would decorate this. I'm thinking about putting some greenery in it. Thank you so much, friends, for watching this video all the way to the end. I really appreciate it. Be sure and give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and if you're not subscribed, double check down there and make sure you're subscribed. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and help your girl out here. And I will see you in the next video. But most of all, I want you to remember to be still and know that He is God.